Hey everyone, just wanted to give you guys a update on how things are going in my life. I haven't made a video in a very long time. Um, yeah, so mom got out of the hospital. Very good news. She was a little touch and go there for a while, but she pulled through, and you know, I was just having a rough time over the last couple months, dealing with that, and also recent losses in the family. On top of that, it doesn't do wonders for your mental state. But it's really been a time for me to sort of dig in and kind of dig deep and try and find ways to cope. Like positive coping mechanisms that aren't self-destructive in any manner. Um, so I just you know wanted to say that people have surprised me in my life, and it's weird. Like people that you would think, I mean, I was kind of falling apart for a little bit, and then kind of picked myself up with some help. But people that you would think would fall apart in certain situations actually end up stepping up, and it's weird, man. Like, people are incredibly strong. We're stronger than we give ourselves credit for, and it's like people are resilient and they can do so many things. It's like crazy. Like, you know, my own capabilities, I've doubted my own capabilities and my own abilities to adapt and to improvise over the last several years. Actually, I've doubted myself and the things that I could do. And I've been getting in tune with myself, like physically, and just training a lot. And like you don't realize what your limitations are until you push them, and it's weird. And you only have limitations, like that you put on yourself. Unless your limitations are like inherited, which some of my limitations are in, by birth defect and things like that, and operations I've had and things like that. So physically, I can't do a lot of things, but also it's also a matter of uh, where you are mentally too. It's like if you tell yourself you can't do something, you're definitely not going to do it because you're talking yourself into irrelevance by telling yourself that you can't do something. And it's like I've been not doing that. And it's like that little voice of self doubt is like it's hard to quell at times, but you have to like almost silence that voice that tells you you can't do it. You can't do it. It's not gonna work out. You're not good enough. You're not strong enough. Whatever your internal critic is trying to tell you, you have to dismiss it because um, the internal critic between your ears is not your friend. And it's been hard. Like there's been a lot of challenging events, like I mentioned, that have happened in my life recently, like that damn near took me down. But it's strange. Like if I felt like it built up my character a little bit. Like it made me realize that like I could do this. I could be here, and I could do it, and I could power through, and I could be supportive if necessary, or I could be helpful. In some way or another. And it's like weird how relationships in my life have changed as a result of that. It's like once you stop trying to actively make things worse, or ignoring the fact that things are bad, and you actually make an active effort to ameliorate the suffering of yourself or those around you, and you actively say like, what could I do to make some aspect of today better than it was yesterday? What could I do to make today better than yesterday? And even if it's by some small, increment, it's like, because those things, they may be small, but after a while, they're not. It's like a compounding effect, and you do these like little things every day, and you kind of like, you just do little good things one at a time every day, and then it has a compounding effect, and like people notice it, and it's like, it's really something miraculous. It's like, you know um I was talking to my mother today, and we were joking around and talking, and talking about movies and stuff. And I said to my mom, I said, man, I missed you. And I said that to her like 1,000 times, since she's been back. And you know but I said it again because it just, she made me smile. She put a smile on my face, and I put a smile on her face to the best of my ability. And it was like a moment, um between us that we have not had in like such a long time. And it's like, you have to move with some purpose of betterment. Like, the goal is for the betterment of you, not only your life but the people around you, right? Because ideally you want things to be better for you. Sure, obviously everyone wants things to be better for themselves, but once you step outside of that and you go, okay, well, I want things to be better for my family. Everyone wants that. Like, how do I do that? It's like, I don't know, just walk into your house, and, you know, give someone a hug when you walk in. It's a simple thing, but it has a big effect on people. Ask them about their day, whatever. Just do something positive, and even if it's small. It's crazy how that builds up over time. And then, it's like, if you want to go further than that, it's like, well, I want my life for me to be better, but I want my life for my family to be better, but I also want my life for my community to be better. It's like, well, how do I do that? And you can start small with that too. Like, say hi to your neighbor that you haven't spoke to. You know, just like, wave to them as they walk by, and like compliment them about their shoes, or just some little detail that like brightens their day because you were there at that specific moment and you said something nice, and maybe they were having a bad day and you had no idea, but that nice thing you said made them grin from ear to ear because you noticed their shoes or whatever. It's like, it's all like it's all tied in to each other. You do one good thing, and then you do another good thing, and it just piles up, right? And I noticed this particularly like around, like, because I'd been posting a lot about my karate practicing. I got my yellow belt and stuff like that, and I've been training my ass off for it, and I'm in all sorts of pain, and like sore and all that. It's whatever, but like I noticed that in like the karate dojo, it's like, you compliment someone on like a kick they landed that was like perfect or had perfect form, and maybe they were like self-conscious about the way they threw that kick, and then you noticed it, and then you said, wow, that was perfect. And then the guy goes, really? I've had that happen to me like several times, where I was self-conscious about a move or a technique I was performing, and I wasn't sure if it looked good or I was doing it right. And of course, the main point of martial arts is not so that it looks good, but the technique is perfected to some degree. But having the technique look good does not hurt either. And it's just little words of encouragement or praise, or even just nice words just thrown out, like, hey, you look good today. It's like some people can use that boost, man. It's like some people, if they're waking up on the wrong side of the bed, man, that's a little nudge in the opposite direction. Like maybe they woke up in a shitty mood, and like, someone's bitching at them when they wake up, and then you walk along and you're like, hey man, you look great today. What have you been doing? And it's like, uh, it's like you watch the smile go like cling, from like ear to ear, and it's weird. Um, and I think as far as like the compound effect that good deeds have is like it's so obvious, but it's not at the same time because it takes careful attention to notice these things. You have to be mindful and aware, and also you have to be mindful in your interactions as well. You know, uh, if you make the wrong decisions all the time, and you're snappy and you're pissed off because your life isn't going the way it should be, which I I'm guilty of doing a lot. Um, that kind of puts out like a negative signal. It's like, oh, I don't want to be around that person. You know, it's like I was that guy for a long time, and then all of a sudden these good things just started happening, and it's like, well, what changed? It's like me. It's like I didn't know I changed, but other people noticed that I changed before I noticed I changed, and it's like, oh, okay, people are like gravitating towards me or coming back into my orbit or wanting to speak to me again, and it's a wonderful thing, um, and I realized that like the things I've been learning in karate, like bowing and showing respect and all that kind of stuff, it translates into other aspects of life, right? And I was reading a book, an audiobook. Well, I actually should get paperbacks now because I could see, but I was reading audiobooks for a long time because I couldn't see jack shit before I got my new spectacles here. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna get some paperbacks again. Because I got audiobooks for the paperbacks that I had because I couldn't read them like well because I couldn't see jack. So yeah, I'm gonna start buying paper copies of things. But I was reading this book by the Grand Master, or the founding father, Grand Master of Shotokan karate, which is he's basically the founding father of modern karate because Shotokan is like widely practiced like everywhere all over the world, and one amazing thing that I gleaned from this book, and it's not that long in terms of audio, like if it's being read to you. It's only 5 hours long, and I purchased it for like $15, I think. Just because I got sick a while back, like at the beginning of December or end of November. I had like an intestinal infection, which took me out of training for a while because I had to be put on antibiotics. My abdominal pain was like so severe I couldn't even get out of bed for a while. So I figured I'm not training in karate physically, but I could train in karate mentally. So that's when I tried to track down the books on Shotokan karate, and the name of the grandmaster of Shotokan karate is Gichin Funakoshi. So I tracked down one of his books, and I'm reading the book. It's called Karate Do, My Way of Life, and it was a really inspiring book, right? Because here you have a guy who's like founding this type of martial art, right? And he's been training in martial arts all his life, and he's started out as like a sickly child, with like asthma, and he wasn't expected to live for like 3 years, and then he starts training in karate, and his like health problems go away, and then he wrote the book when he was like 90, I believe, uh, pretty advanced in age, and he had throughout the book indicated that this was like the main theme. Like karate is for offense, and all martial arts is for offense. I mean, defense. All martial arts is for defense, not offense. Meaning you don't attack first, never attack first. And it was weird to read this book, and he was avoiding conflict at like every turn, right? And he did not fight unless he like had to, and he rarely had to. And that's the thing. It's like in modern days, even back then when the book was written, um, but especially in modern days, like most people are trying to avoid a fight. Like nobody wants to fight. Unless you're like pissed off, you're going out looking for it, whatever the situation or circumstance may be. A lot of people don't want to fight. And it's like good. You shouldn't unless you have to. And he went his whole life training in martial arts and teaching martial arts and barely fought, except for once. I believe it was towards the end of the book where he's talking about how he um, was coming off a train and he was at the age he was then. He was like 89, 90 years old, and some guy went to mug him, and he just, you know, deflects the attack and grabs him by the unmentionables, and it's like that's technically self defense because you're getting mugged, but he still felt guilty about breaking his code of not fighting, right? And that's the thing. Like, I felt like a profound sense of like, wow, okay, this guy got mugged and he feels guilty. Like, what's going on here? And then he was talking about, like one of the biggest things about karate practitioners that he referred to them as karatekas in the book, which was like, the terminology for one who practices karate, is that we have a deep sense of love for our family, our friends, siblings, and community as well. And it was like a weird thing, you know. Um, it was like almost like a set of rules, um, you know, and there is a set of rules actually. I believe there's 24 precepts to karate, to shotokan in particular, which is the art I study in. Um, but these specific things, like having love for your family, your friends, your community, being defensive as opposed to offensive, finding ways around situations and being a mediator as opposed to an aggressor. It's like wow, you know. And I had trained in martial arts previously, although it was not karate, which is Japanese. I trained in Wing Chun Kung Fu, which is Chinese. But the martial arts code is kind of the same wherever you go. You never attack first. It's really not meant for that. You're not meant to use it to like for like negative means or violent means or means to an end, whatever. And it was the not only his almost like unwillingness to fight unless he had to, but feeling guilty that he defended himself. It was perplexing, right? And it was really cool to read about the history of this art, and like the values that a karateka is supposed to have and hold and try and emulate certain patterns of behavior. uh these things are important, and it's like respect is number one. Courtesy is very important when practicing martial arts. And because that's one of the first precepts actually, is karate begins and ends with courtesy. We bow to our instructors or opponents or whatever, and we just we engage in you know either teaching someone or competing with someone, but it's friendly. It's not like it's not like you're out for blood, or you're teaching them so they can like kill somebody. No, you're giving somebody like the means to defend themselves should they have to. And it's rare in today's world unless you come across a particularly aggressive person that you have to. And it's a good thing to have under your belt for sure. And I've been obsessed with like combat sports for a while, and like combat sports, martial arts, fighting techniques, weapons techniques, all that kind of stuff. I've dabbled in like everything over the last couple of years, and it's like it's weird how martial arts like translates into like everyday life, right? And I truly feel like martial arts, when instructed, when passed down, when the knowledge is passed down properly, the practitioner begins to feel like a change in not only their physical capacity and physical ability, but also in their character and their sense of self. And there's like a restoration of confidence, and there's like just like your posture changes. Like everything about you like changes when you when you start practicing martial arts. And it was so many years have passed since I was an active practitioner of a martial art. You know, um, like in a dojo or in a gym or whatever. Because I think I was 18 when I studied in Wing Chun Kung Fu, and I had done mixed martial arts with a friend of mine uh, when I was like 16 or 17, but there was like a huge gap, from like 18 years old to now, and I was like, you know, just miserable, like without it, and I felt like, that was kind of like a void that was like in my life. It's like I'm not practicing martial arts. I should be practicing martial arts. I should be training. I should be perfecting my skills. I should be learning, these techniques. I should be perfecting these techniques. And it's like, it was like a weight, that like I felt like I had an obligation to myself because I knew what I could be and what I was. Like you are not everything you could be, and you know it. It's like just try. Like if you don't try, you've already failed, right? And like my background in terms of physicality and and power and strength is not a good one. Like I was born with cerebral palsy. I was born premature. I was in an incubator, for like I think it was 9 months. My mother told me, um, you know, and it was just like it was not looking good for me. And then I thought back to what I read in the autobiography of the Grand Master of Shotokan, and he wasn't expected to live for more than two or 3 years. And his family like was preparing for him to die. And they mollycoddled him and overprotected him. And then in the book he talks about how one of his schoolmates, their father was a karate instructor to the emperor or to a general. I can't remember exactly. I finished the audiobook like almost a month ago, so um, and then he started training karate, and like little by little he got stronger and stronger and stronger, and like his asthma went away. He wasn't meek anymore. He wasn't like um he wasn't sickly anymore. And it's like that type of stuff that like really kind of like drove me when I started training in Shotokan. It's like, oh, there's some similarities between like me and the Grandmaster. Like the Grandmaster wasn't this like major like strong guy, who like had all the strength in the world, and then just decided he would train karate. No, he was like a meek, sickly child who started training in karate so he could get well, right? And and one of the things I noticed about karate, in terms of like the physicality and the weight loss and everything like that, um, is it's not like bodybuilding, because I did that previously, when I was in high school. I did bodybuilding to kind of just like not be meek and just bulk up and like, you know, um, and just be a little stronger and feel better, and like in terms of weight loss, karate is very effective for that because it's like almost like a functional kind of strength. It's like you're repeating the same movements. It's a little bit of um, a cardiovascular workout almost, not cardiovascular. I can't think of the word that was used to describe it. Um, yeah, but it's more like functional. So you're losing weight, but you're not putting on mass, and you're it's like calisthenics. You get the strength without the bulk. So I really like that. Um, it's done wonders for my legs, especially considering that I had operations on my legs when I was in like first grade, um, and I have had a back operation as well. And I did something that I thought was relatively smart of me to do. Before I started training in martial arts, I made sure that I lost weight before I began the training. And here's something interesting that I found. Um, People always say like fitness and health is like 90% diet and like 10% exercise, and that could not be more true. Because I lost like 40 pounds because I was 215 pounds in June of this year, June of 2020. And I was 215 pounds, and with my frame at like 5'2" and a half, 215 pounds is like morbidly obese, right? So, I decided I had to do something about it. And I was like, I'm tired of being, just a chunky bastard. Like, I don't want to be chunky. And then I decided to log all my food in a notebook, right? Like 3 meals a day and maybe a snack, but no more, no less. I don't count drinks, like because I drink mostly water and coffee and like protein powder and a vegetable supplement powder that you just mix into your water. So I really don't count drinks because I don't drink a lot of sugar or anything like that anymore. Um, and one of the biggest things I found is I did almost nothing for like months except log my food, and I lost like 40 pounds from like June to September. I think I had like a 40-pound weight loss, and then from that point to now, I went from 215 to about 147. I stepped on the scale yesterday, so it's like 147 right about now, and I think that's a total of like 68 or 69 pounds of weight loss. That's a lot of friggin' weight to be carrying around on your skeleton, bro. It's your frame's not meant to carry that much weight, you know. And People always get discouraged when they start training in anything, whether it's like your weekend warriors at the gym, or your, New Year's resolution people who are like, I'm going to lose weight this year. And then you see them at the gym for like a week and they don't come back. It's like people get discouraged because they start training when they're overweight. At least this was my case. It's like you get discouraged because you start training when you're overweight and you don't see immediate results. It's like, well, that comes with time. Like, it's not going to happen in like a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Although if you do train consistently, you might lose some decent amount of weight in 2 or 3 weeks, but you don't want to kill yourself either. So it's like I did nothing for months. I just focused on like losing weight first. And then when I had felt like I was at a comfortable weight to train, where like I wouldn't have trouble breathing, or like, um or I would not like injure myself like constantly, even though I do. It's like they're like, I roll my toes and like, like hurt my foot kicking the bag. It's like, because when you throw a roundhouse kick, you use like the top of your foot, and the top of your foot's like that almost, like your foot's like that. So you kick with the top of your foot, and it's like, I always injure myself in some manner or another while I'm training, just because my feet are not like conditioned to a point where like kicking the bag as hard as I can doesn't hurt. It's like like the tops of my feet are like sore, after I train. My hands are sore after I train. 'Cause I'm stupid and I hit the bag without gloves because I have MMA gloves. I don't have karate gloves. Um, but yeah, if you're going to start training, this is my advice, and this is only what worked for me. I'm not like a nutritionist or like a fitness instructor or anything. I'm just telling you what worked for me, and it might work for you, it might not. But just try to maintain a healthy body weight